Macros, Mindset, and Muscles.
I'm Coach James.
And I'm Coach Brittany.
We're here to give you the truth about health and fitness.
No gimmicks, no bullshit, just facts.
Welcome back to...
Oh my God, that was so extra.
Macros, Mindset, and Muscles. Coming to you from the dining room of James and Brittany. Here to educate you.
Oh my God, stop.
On some fitness.
This isn't one of your motivational speeches, okay?
I'm sorry about that. But no, it's been a really good weekend, really good day, and I'm looking forward to doing this podcast today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So something that's been kind of speaking to us lately and something that we've been discussing a lot with clients is progress and measuring progress.
It's a very good subject. I mean, it's come up 3 or 4 times just today.
Yeah.
In the last 24 hours with multiple people, even myself, and it's so easy to get fixated on something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
We're just going to dive right into it because this is a big thing. And we go through this with almost every client that we take on. Most people starting out, they get so fixated on a number. And this goes both ways, weight loss and muscle gain. It doesn't just swing towards one side. But, people get so hung up on what the scale says that they darken all the other positives and all the other victories that they're having, and they don't even realize because they're so focused on the scale.
I'm guilty of that.
I think we all
starting
out, whatever, at one point, most people will have some type of fixation on the scale. But once you learn that the scale isn't it's not your friend. I mean, it's literally not the best indication of progress because our bodies are so different and our weight can fluctuate by several pounds either way each day, depending on stress and water, how many carbs you ate that day. Carbs do not cause fat, by the way. They do not cause you to gain weight. You just hold a little extra water. Water is not fat.
I want to hold some extra water right now. Can I have some carbs? No, but I'm guilty of that 100%. Like in the early days, I was very small and I wanted to be bigger. So to me, the scale going up was me getting bigger. I was just heavier. I mean, I wasn't.
You weren't bigger in the way that you wanted to be.
No. And I saw this character or in a movie and I looked up at how much they weighed and as they trained for this role. And they're like, oh, he weighed 220 pounds. I was like, all right, we're about the same height. I got to be 220 pounds to look like that. Well, I got to 220 and I did not look like that at all. Boy, it was a little soft.
Well, I was the same way. When I started, I was like, okay, I want to weigh 150 pounds. I don't care. That's my goal weight. My goal weight is 150, goal weight. Well, I hit that goal weight. And I don't know what I was thinking. Most people assume if you hit your goal weight, you're going to look a certain way. But if you don't train properly and you don't do it in a proper way, you're still going to look like the same person. You're just going to be lighter.
Yeah.
So most people, when they think of the number, they're thinking of having a more quote unquote tone body. They want to look more lean. They want to have some definition in certain areas of their body. But if you're not training properly and you're not, dialing in on your nutrition, then you're not going to look the way that you think you're going to just because you hit a number on the scale.
Exactly. Somebody could say, oh, I just have to lose 10 pounds. I got to lose 10 pounds. And they do some crazy diet thing for them to drop 10 pounds really quick. And
it worked. They dropped 10 pounds.
Technically, they are down 10 pounds, but they look worse than their look has not improved. Their look has not improved.
They're just lighter on the scale.
Their energy is down. The only thing that the scale is down, but they may feel weak, low energy, and it's just temporary.
Well, the thing with that, like 10 pounds, I mean, if you're just trying to drop 10 pounds, you're dropping water. Like,
That's
really,
it.
that's what you're dropping.
Or
It's
some
not,
poop.
it's not fat, it's water. So,
I mean, it happens. I can fluctuate. My weight can fluctuate just on low water retention. A good solid 6 pounds, easily 5, 6 pounds. Eat a lot of carbs, that goes up.
Yep.
Cut the carbs back, comes on down.
Exactly. And the more you get in tune with your body, the more you learn how the scale reacts to certain things. And this is where consistency in your nutrition and your routine really helps, because we're such routine creatures. Like, we can predict, what threw us off, what made us hold extra water or made the scale spike up.
Which it could have been food, it could have been stress.
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. That's a huge one that definitely affects everyone. Or a lot of people.
Yeah. Or you might have had a killer day with your nutrition, but maybe you drank, 32 ounces of fluids before you went to bed. Fluids, that's weight. 32 ounces, that's 2 pounds. Or
you turn around and you had a heavy leg day, and the next day you wake up a little heavy. Well, you're going to be holding a little extra water after a big muscle group hard workout. I mean, it's just how it's going to be.
A little inflammation is common.
It'll go away, but it's just temporary. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You didn't interrupt. This is what we do.
We
go back and forth. We talk.
We do what we do.
So the scale just is really not your friend when it comes to measuring progress. And I know it's frustrating. Society has told you that, hey, we can drop 30 pounds in 2 weeks or whatever. That was extreme. But you see this type of stuff all the time. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. You may drop that 30 pounds in X amount of weeks, or maybe you drop that 10 pounds for your vacation by crash dieting and doing something super extreme. But what happens when you return to normal life? You're gonna not only put that 10 pounds back on, but probably add some extra pounds to that too, because you did something so extreme, you didn't learn anything from it.
Right.
You have to learn how to make changes, or the results that you get will not stick.
Right.
I could diet the shit out of a client. Like, I could put them through and I could have them make some crazy transformation in a short amount of time. But I teach my clients as we go. You teach your clients as we go. Like, our job, how we approach coaching, is not to tell you what to do and you just do it. Like, we want you to understand why you are doing it. We don't want you to rely on us forever. Like, you shouldn't have to rely on your coach forever to keep your results. Like, you should be learning as you go. And yeah.
No, and that's something we've always had in common, is we want to teach other people how to do this long term. And those extreme dieting measures, I mean, yeah, anybody can diet extremely, and next thing you know, they feel horrible, their hormones are jacked up, stress levels are through the roof, their thyroid could even be messed up, who knows?
Yeah.
And if you push the body too hard in any direction, it's going to rebound. Just like a rubber band snapping back, it's going to pop. And it's going to go, and it's going to be ugly. If you don't do it the proper way, you have to slowly progress.
And that's why these extreme diets are so not good for you, and I'm going to throw keto in there as an extreme diet, because who doesn't want to eat carbs for the rest of their life? Because that's what you have to look at, okay? Like, these long-term, if you're doing a diet just to do a diet and you're not expecting to learn anything from it, by all means, go for it. If you don't care about gaining and losing and gaining and losing. But if you do a diet and you lose 40 pounds on it, but then you stop following that diet and you gain 50 pounds back, the diet didn't work.
No, it didn't.
Because you didn't learn anything from it.
And I knew a guy, I know someone that this happens to all the time. He would do keto and this fasting, and then all of a sudden something would come along, either a holiday or special occasion, and for just a couple days, he would stop doing keto, and he would jump up 25 pounds in 3 days, 2 3 days. He would just blow up, and then he'd do these extreme measures again. He would fast for X amount of days. He wouldn't eat. Like how that's so unhealthy. Like you're just yo-yoing your body back and forth. There's one extreme of not just so unhealthy.
Yeah. One extreme to the other.
Mm.
And, with the like doing keto and then jumping up eating carbs again and, freak out like, oh my God, carbs do make you fat because I gained all this weight. Well, it's not that carbs make you fat. It's that you depleted your glycogen stores and your muscles were not holding any glycogen because you were only eating fat and protein. So when you ate your carbs, your muscles filled back up with glycogen and water. And for every 1 gram of carb, I know I've said this before, you hold 3 to 4 grams of water. So, if you're eating 100 carbs a day, you're holding 300 to 400 grams of water. It just, the scale is not your friend, period.
Yeah. So the point is the scale is not your friend.
Yeah. There's just so many things that can affect what the scale says, and you should not rely on it for progress. So yes, it is a useful tool. It does, it provides an extra data point. I do like using the scale to measure clients' progress in certain areas, but I'm also looking at the physical changes, taking progress pictures regularly, like I like to do every 4 weeks with my clients. Some do them more often, but every 4 weeks, and then pointing out the physical changes, because when you're in that moment, like when you're looking at pictures of yourself, you don't see it because you see yourself every day. But to others outside, like especially your coach, we can look at your picture from 8 weeks ago and your picture today, and we could point out the changes if you're consistent in what you're doing.
Yeah. And quick little story. Earlier this year, I was training. I started dieting down, and I was like, man, I'm X amount of weight, same amount of weight as I was last year. And I was like, nothing's changed. I haven't progressed, blah, 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 in my head. Well, Brittany turned around and brought up a picture of me at the same weight from exactly 1 year before. And when we put them side by side, you see the difference. I look completely different, but at the same exact weight. So the scale meant nothing, but it did. It got in my head that, I didn't progress, and that all this time, a year worth of training was for nothing, and poor me, and I'm hungry. But yeah, like it got into my head, and it happens to everybody to some degree.
I mean, I've totally done it too. And I'm really big on progress pictures. I take a lot of pictures of my journey, of me doing different exercises, so I can see multiple things in how I'm progressing. I literally was the same weight. I'm in prep for show, and I've been in prep for 40 weeks. And I was literally the same weight, teetering the same few pounds from January to June. And I literally just started dropping again. But in those 6 months, even though I was the same weight, if you look at my progress pictures over those 6 months,
your body changed.
It was a lot different. You could see where I had dropped fat and where my muscle was showing more. And that's recomposition. And that's what you really want.
Yeah.
Most people, when they say, I have a goal weight in mind, they really just want to look a certain way. They want to fit into their clothes better. They want to wear smaller clothes, etc. But that number, they don't correlate.
Yeah.
A certain number doesn't mean you're going to wear a certain size clothes. If you're doing the work in the gym and you're hitting your workouts and you're hitting your nutrition consistently, getting enough protein, getting enough sleep, you're hydrating, you're doing all the things you should be doing, the scale is irrelevant.
It is. And someone said one time at somewhere, and it stuck with me, it was like, your friends and people around you will see the changes being made before you will. And then you will notice changes in your clothes, like the way your clothes feel, even before you see, like, oh, this is smaller, this is bigger, you'll start to feel those changes, and then you will see it. But like you're saying, because you look at yourself every day, you're looking in the mirror, like, I don't see any changes, because there's subtle changes daily, and they'll creep up on you. You're like, nothing's changed. Well, it has. Someone who hadn't seen you in 3 weeks or a month, and now they see you, they're like, wow, you've made a lot of progress, because they hadn't seen you. They're just comparing where you were last month to today.
That's what I have a client that I train virtually, and she is a muscle gain client. So she has she's been trying to gain muscle. Not trying, she's been gaining muscle. She's pretty much teetered the same few pounds over the last 6, almost 7 months now. But in her pictures, you can see that her body has recomp. Like, she has much more muscle mass now than she did when we started. And there's a trade-off. You build muscle, you lose fat. And it trades off. So if you're losing weight and fat, you might be gaining it in muscle.
Yeah.
But we're not talking like several pounds of muscle here. Like, that's not very common. Like, unless you're in your first year of lifting.
Yeah. New lifter.
Yeah.
Or you've taken an extended break from training, and like it's been years. Then you kind of will creep back into that little magical window of new gains, where you're recomping on your own.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I remember those days.
I remember those days too.
Just eating whatever. No, I'm just kidding. I was eating whatever, but it caught up with me.
So yeah, what I was getting at with that client is that she would sometimes feel like she could feel the changes, but she didn't necessarily see the physical changes. And then when she would go around her friends and her family, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, like you're
jacked.
Like you're getting so big now. Like, you're not big, but you're like looking so muscular and fit."
Strong.
And that was like the biggest compliment for her, to be told that she was looking strong and fit, because that's what she's been trying to do.
Right.
So stop relying on the scale.
X the scale.
Yeah.
So
instead,
that's what
pictures.
I was about to say. What would you recommend to everyone about tracking progress?
So pictures obviously are like the best way, in my opinion, because you can take pictures of so many different things to track. Like, obviously, if you're taking your progress pictures, you want a front, a side, a back, and you want to take it in the same outfit or very close to the same outfit, in the same spot, with the same type of lighting. You want to have consistency in your pictures too, so you can see the changes. But you can also take pictures in the gym. Maybe you're flexing a certain way, or you're doing a certain exercise. Like, you can take pictures that way, and you can go back and look like, oh, when I was doing this exercise 2 years ago, this is what it looked like. And you put them side by side to one now, and it's completely different.
Yeah. And progress isn't always aesthetic. Like, it can be, this exercise was difficult, and now it's not. I was only able to do this much weight, but now I'm this much stronger. Like, early on.
Like push-ups. Okay. Push-ups, pull-ups. Push-ups. Those are two things that I work with my women on a lot. It's push-ups and pull-ups. And, some people can't do a full push-up, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We build on that. So we take different steps to help our clients improve on their push-ups. And then eventually they get that first full push-up, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I just did a full push-up. I couldn't even do like 5 pulses on the wall a year ago. And now I just did a full push-up, like with good form." And that's a way to measure progress, like how you're hitting things in the gym.
And now they're doing them for reps.
Like the
true
story.
Yeah, if you would love to see an amazing video of that, we have it on the Instagram and the Tickety Talks. And she's amazing. She's a great client.
And the same thing with pull-ups. Like, I have a couple ladies who've been busting their ass training for pull-ups, and I have one that just got her first pull-up, and I have another that's working on multiple. Like, measuring your strength is a great way to tell progress also. because if you're getting stronger, it's working.
It's working. That's what I was saying. Like, it's not always a look thing. It's not always definitely not a scale thing. But progress looks different to everyone. Everyone has different goals. Like, for some people just want to be able to go about life and not be exhausted by it, not be able to get out in the yard and do things. If there's a rock in the yard, go out there and pick that big rock up. Like,
yeah, or maybe you hold the weed eater and you weed eat.
Have you seen that commercial? I forgot what commercial it is. And there's this elderly man, and he's like waiting until no one's around, and there's a kettlebell, and he picks it up and he tries to lift it, and then it shows him a little bit later, and he's able to lift it a little more, and he's like holding it up, and it fast forwards to Christmas Day, and it's his little granddaughter comes in, and he was doing this all so he could hold his granddaughter up to put the little star on the Christmas tree.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh yeah, I'm about to cry. But it was beautiful because, like, that was his thing. He was just wanting to get strong enough to lift his granddaughter up, and like
doing lifting in the gym will translate to everyday life.
Life.
Shoulder presses. You put things over your head. You lift to put stuff up on a shelf. Deadlifts. Okay, when you bend down to pick up your laundry basket. This is how I help my clients learn the deadlift, and I tell them, like, okay, imagine you're picking up a laundry basket. We're not going to lift with our back. We're going to use our hips. We're going to hinge instead.
Yeah.
So it helps them. So I'm giving it to them in their head too. So when they're at home, they're like, oh, Brittany said I could deadlift this. So, we got women out here deadlifting laundry baskets or, whatever. Not that
I like that.
Not that that's gender specific or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I train women specifically. I have very few men clients, so it works because it's something that they can relate to and something they can take that skill that they learned in the gym and they can apply it to life.
And do more laundry.
Me.
Oh my gosh, like that was not a sexist or one of them big words that means that whatever. Women are great, super strong. Y'all outdo us in everything, every kind of way possible. Y'all are a different creature and amazing.
We're totally getting off track.
Oh, y'all are totally going to blow up my inbox on this one. Like, you woman hater.
He's not.
I'm not. Like, y'all outwork guys every day in the gym in every aspect of life. So we talked about pictures, we talked about videos, we talked about keeping track of your strength and measuring progress that way. Measurements are a great way to keep track of progress because if your measurements are going down, you're losing fat. And that's what you want. That weight loss is about the number. Fat loss is about losing body fat. And that's what you really want. So taking your measurements, that will help you see changes even when the scale's not moving, or maybe you're not even seeing the physical change, but your measurements might tell you a different story. Exactly. So if you have a camera or what is it? It's a tape measure, but the
fabric tape measure.
Fabric tape measure. Without data, I mean, you can't manage anything. So if you feel like you're not progressing, definitely if you want to try doing those things, you may be surprised at the changes that are being made that you weren't even aware of.
And also how you're feeling is a measure of progress as well, because most people, before they start working out, they feel drained, they're tired, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm tired. But then you start working out and this strange thing happens. You start getting more energy and you feel more energized and you feel better because you're moving more and you're giving your body what it wants and needs. So that's a big thing. And that's something you will notice before the scale changes, before you see changes in your pictures, measurements, anything. The first thing you will notice is how you feel and energy increase. That is always the first things to happen.
And I think that's one of the most important reasons to do this thing anyway, is for you to feel better. Not. I mean, everybody wants to improve this or that, but to feel better about self, to feel better about how you may view yourself. I mean, those are the big accomplishments for me. Like what the pictures say and all that. Those are great, but to see someone's self confidence just turn on, like that's the biggest accomplishment for me. That's the why I love what I do.
I agree with that completely. Like seeing someone feel more confident in themselves. I personally love it when a client stops worrying about the scale. And usually the scale tends to drop faster when that does happen
Yeah,
because it's not your main focus anymore. You're focusing on all the other things and doing everything consistently that it just falls in line.
I agree. I definitely agree. So, camera, fabric measure tape thing,
Yep, tape measure.
tape measure,
Measure.
little tape measure, and just track things. But definitely don't put all your focus on the scale. The scale is worthless.
Yeah. And then like you're just not your worth is not determined by what that scale says. And I'm not saying that like, obviously there is a medical need for some people to lose weight, but it's not necessarily the number, it's the amount of body fat that you have on your body.
Right. And we could do a whole.
Sometimes those are related and sometimes they're not, it just depends like person to person. But overall, making those changes is what's most important.
That's true. That's true. And we could do a whole episode on, your actual body fat percentage and what actually happens to the body when you have an excess amount of body fat and how it affects your organs and all that.
Yeah, but we're not doctors, so we're
that.
not going to do that.
I mean, I'm kind of a doctor.
No, you're not.
I have a white coat.
Bruh.
Okay, it's not white, but I have a coat. Okay, I have a tan hoodie. Does that count? And a blood pressure cuff. It's an automatic blood pressure cuff, and I can check your blood sugar. No, I'm just kidding.
So, when you're working with a coach, don't be stressed about your weight. Trust the process. Ask questions so you understand why things are being done. You don't have to just be a yes man and follow along. Like if you want to know why you're doing something, ask.
Yeah, ask your coach. If they can't give you that answer, then
Find a different coach.
Find a different coach, because I really tried to explain and even over-explain why we're doing what we're doing. Because, like you said, we are teaching. Like we're not barking orders. We're not just here's the plan, execute it.
Yeah.
We don't want people to, they don't need a coach forever. We're there to get them to the point where they can do this on their own.
Exactly. So just know that progress isn't fast. It's not meant to be fast. It takes time. If you're not seeing changes within the first couple weeks, it's not a big deal. Like it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it takes a couple of weeks for your body to
adapt and
to switch over.
Yeah.
Like you've thrown it into something it's never been doing. That's horrible grammar.
That's okay. We're not English teachers.
Yeah, I read good.
I learn good.
I learn good too. I pick things up.
Put them back down.
Put them down. I put them down.
Oh.
But this has been an awesome episode.
It's definitely something that needed to be discussed because we deal with this with clients all the time. It's not an uncommon thing, and it can be so frustrating for some people to not see the scale move, but just know that there's other ways to measure progress.
Yes, there is.
You should be measuring progress in other ways. If you're only measuring by the scale, you're setting yourself up to fail because you're going to quit before you ever get started.
That's true.
So, on that note,
I'm James.
Oh, God.
You forgot. You thought I forget. I wasn't going to do it. I'm James. This is macros, mindset, and muscles. You know what I'm saying?
So, we are done for now.
We are done.
And we will see y'all next time.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Macros, Mindset, and Muscles. Until next time,
I'm James.
I'm Brittany. We're out.